Hello and welcome into another episode where today's episode is essentially going to be about multiple endings in video games, because I do a lot of videos about the things that you can only do in video games, this, that and the other, this many mediums and stuff, like it's only possible in a game. Multiple endings technically isn't only possible in video games. It's something that actually, when you do books, you can, there's a genre out there, a medium essentially known as choose your own adventure, I think they're called. I've literally just came from recording a video about books and adaptions and stuff like that, so it's weird that I now can't think of how to talk about books, but it's because I never read choose your own adventure stuff. I tried as a kid and I didn't really like them because I wanted to be able to read through everything. I wanted to get the whole story, and that was something that always annoyed me with choose your own adventure novels, where it's like, if I'm skipping out on all of these chapters, like, do I have to reread it over and over and over again? And that was just something I didn't want to do. I do reread books. Again, I just came from recording a video where I talk about that. I do reread books quite a lot. But at the same time, for a lot of books, I tend to be a one and done. Or I reread it like once every few years type thing. Whereas with video games, I will replay a game. If it's a game I truly love, I will replay it multiple times. Sometimes in the first week of getting it. Sometimes it's a case of I need distance between the game to play through it again. Other times it's a case of this is the kind of game where if I don't play this for another few years, I'm really going to struggle to actually replay it, because it's going to be like learning it all over again from the get-go. And games like Hollow Knight are definitely one of them, where Hollow Knight has, I want to say, I'm trying to remember, I think it's got, base Hollow Knight, I think, has 5 endings, and then they added 1 or 2 with the Pantheon ending, and I'm trying to remember, so I've seen all of them. I haven't actually beat the entire Pantheon to get it. That is one I had to watch on YouTube. I will eventually get around to doing that, because I'm extremely good at Silksong, and Silksong gave me the ability to realise, you know what, I might actually be good enough to do the Pantheon in Hollow Knight. However, Hollow Knight and Silksong do definitely have different mechanics. Like, I am sitting here struggling to remember how difficult it actually is to not be able to pogo everything using the diagonal pogo. I'm one of those people who actually likes Hornet's moveset more than the Knight's moveset. But either way, it's got a bunch of endings in it, and I knew when I beat the game that it's the kind of thing I'm going to need to replay it again sooner rather than later to be able to actually experience these endings. And weirdly, what ended up happening was, I beat Hollow Knight, didn't play it again until Silksong came out, and then just before Silksong came out, then I went through and got every single one of the endings, with, again, the exception of the Pantheon. And it is something really cool about games, the fact that you can actually do all of these multiple endings, and sometimes some developers allow you to actually get more than one ending in a certain run. Elden Ring allows you to get a couple of the endings in a run. Hollow Knight obviously allows you to get a couple of the endings in a run. Silksong allows you to get a couple of endings in a run. But then there's games like Nier Automata. Now, I've never played the Nier games because of this. I know fine well Nier has a load of endings in it, and only one of them is considered canon. And it's definitely a pitfall to multiple endings, because if it didn't have one specific canon ending, I would actually have played through those games by now. But the fact that I'm going to play through it and I'm going to worry, what if I don't get the right ending? And then that means, like, what if I don't like the game enough to replay through it to be able to get the canon ending, to be able to then play the sequel? Things like that are definitely a downside to multiple endings, but it is still something that I feel games, for the most part, handles a lot better than other mediums, and it's definitely nothing you can do with movies. Like, as much as everyone jokes about Lord of the Rings, Return of the King having multiple endings, it's like all of the stories needed their own ending point, and that is kind of proof as to the fact that people did complain when they tried to turn that into a movie, and actively complained about, why are we getting all of these things that feel like each one of them could be an ending? And it's like, well, because each one of them is an ending to its own story, and books are allowed to have multiple endings because that's the way books work. It really is a case of, this chapter is over now, and it worked better in the book because it's like, okay, I've read the final chapter of Minas Tirith, I've read the final chapter of the Shire, I've read the final chapter of Gandalf. You know, it's all of these little things. It works better in a book, but it also can work in games. And yeah, I don't really have much to actually say on this. It's definitely going to be a shorter video, especially compared to how long the book video turned out to be. Even I didn't expect that to be the length it was. But multiple endings is definitely something that I am grateful for in the medium of games. I just really, really wish that we had one kind of unified way to do it. And maybe the people who love Nier would vehemently disagree with me. Maybe they love the fact that the endings are so unique and locked off on that. But Chrono Trigger, one of my all-time favourite games. I adore JRPGs, but JRPGs are like the only genre I struggle to really replay. I've only ever beaten that game once, even though I knew going in it had 12 endings, and the ending I got was the ending I got, and I can't for the life of you, like for the life of me, tell you if I got the good ending, the bad ending. I just know I got an ending, and I'll never see the rest of them without looking them up on YouTube, or maybe when 2D HD finally comes out, I'll actually get to... I'm trying to remember how to heal. What did I set my heal button to on this? Or maybe when the 2D HD version comes out, I might actually be able to sit there and play through it again, but at least that means I get one more ending, so I get two instead of, like, the one. But, yeah, it's one of those. I love when a game does it to a point, because I loved getting all of the different endings in Hollow Knight, because for the most part, I didn't really need to replay a bunch of stuff. You can get things like the ending where... I wish I'd actually looked up the names of the endings right now, because now I have to find out a way to actually describe these and not ruin the video. You can get the ending where essentially the Hollow Knight, and I've just realised as well, I'm going to have to spoiler one. Like, I'll do my best to be vague here, and trust me, it's going to come off as vague, because again, I'm a little removed from this, but you can get the ending essentially where you take the knight's place, and that's kind of the bad ending. Or you can do the ending where Hornet takes the knight's place and like gets trapped in there, and that's kind of a bad ending. Or you can do the ending where you actually get everything right and you do all of the extras and you actually go on to fight the Radiants. Like, there's loads of little things like that, and it lets you actually do it in one playthrough. And when it's like that, I actually like it, because Hollow Knight uses its endings almost in a way to warn you, hey, you're not quite done yet. And I say that because when I beat Silksong, Grandmother Silk, the quote-unquote final boss, and again, there's going to be like some light spoilers here for the end of Silksong, but Grandmother Silk, I beat that boss the very first time I fought it, and I'm like, how in the hell did I just beat this boss first time? That's not a final boss. That just doesn't feel like a final boss. And then I got the ending, and the ending was obviously Hornet essentially taking Grandmother Silk's place, and I was like, where have I seen this before? Where have I seen that doesn't feel quite like the real boss, and that doesn't feel like the ending. I know I'm going to have to go back in this game, because there's clearly something I'm not seeing. And sure enough, by going into the game, I then discovered a new quest, and by doing a new quest, I did an alternate ending, and by doing an alternate ending, I unlocked a whole new act. So, yeah, I do love that multiple endings can actually be used as a tool to warn you. As long as you're observant and you're paying attention to the story, it can warn you, hey, you might have missed something, you might not fully be done here. And I absolutely love that. But at the same time, as I say, I know quite well games can go the other way, where it's a case of, if there's one specific canon ending that I'm supposed to get, but I don't get any hints on how to do it, that's going to be an issue, because that's going to actually hinder me ever playing it and enjoying it. So, as much as I love that games are the one medium where, outside of books, where you can truly do multiple endings, I don't think we've quite nailed it fully. And obviously, there's then full different branching stories as well. And this is something that I wanted to actually do at the start of the video. And I'm sitting here kind of getting ready to close the video, and I'm realising I haven't mentioned Star Wars at all. And I have to mention Star Wars, because Knights of the Old Republic, to this day, I have never beat that game doing the good ending. Because I just never will. And I know that might sound weird, but to anyone out there who actually knows Knights of the Old Republic and knows the evil side of that game, it's perfection. It's just absolute perfection. There's no way around it. I mean, it usually gets voted as the greatest evil ending in all of video games, and with good fucking reason. It is something that, even though I haven't played that game in about 20 years, almost all of it sticks with me. I can't remember the name of one of the characters, but I am about to now spoil the ending of Knights of the Old Republic, and spoil kind of most of it, because to go through that game, where I was playing as... I can't even remember what I named my character, but let's be real, if I'm spoiling this, I might as well start with... I'm playing as Darth Revan, the most evil big bad in the history of all evil big bads. I wanted to play the game as the Sith anyway. I genuinely didn't realise at the start of the game that I would be playing as the big bad, but I thought I want to be the big bad. So for it to go through that revelation of you fighting Malak, and Malak turns around and it's like, oh yeah, you were Darth Revan, and it turns out everyone knew that, except me, and they were sugarcoating it, and they were trying to placate me, and they were they were worried. It's this is the name I wish I could remember. She's the main companion in the game, and her name, I want to say, it kind of sounds like Bethesda, like the actual game company. She was basically lying to me, like the Jedi do, because, oh, by the way, I have takes about Star Wars. I don't like Star Wars anymore, but I truly do believe the Jedi are just as evil as the Sith. They're just not open about it, because the Jedi lie and twist everything to try to get their own way. They manipulate, that's all they do. They're horrible, horrible, horrible people, and I honestly feel there are so many points in Star Wars where if the Jedi just actually told the truth and didn't lie, then things would have worked out way better. Like, to the point of all of the younglings that Anakin kills in the third movie, none of that, I think, would have happened if people would have actually just been truthful with Anakin. But Yoda knew the prophecy, and Yoda needed to direct Anakin to become Vader, so, yeah, Yoda's a piece of shit. But basically, that game, the Jedi are lying about who you are, because they didn't want you to know, because she didn't trust that you would immediately go right back to being Darth Revan. I would kind of like to see how that goes if you actually defy her expectations and become the good guy. But I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be Revan then. I'm definitely, like, I always wanted to be the big bad anyway. That's how I chose to play the game from the get-go. And now you're telling me I'm not just the big bad, I'm the ultimate big bad? Fuck yeah, I'm going to be Revan. So that entire path, it's just beautiful. Because you go through that entire game, you find HK-47, who is your murder bot, essentially, and HK-47's so happy to be back and so happy to be murdering people again, and I love that so much for them. And then that apprentice, that Jedi who lied about it, the woman whose name sounds like Bethesda that I can't remember, I think it at least starts with a B, but basically, she's like the child prodigy of the Jedi. She's supposed to be like one of the chosen ones. You can corrupt her. You can so wholly corrupt her that by the time you get to the end of that fucking story, you're basically commanding this entire fucking armada, and you're going full scorched universe, essentially. You're wiping out the Jedi, and you can corrupt her so wholly that she actually gives the order to wipe out the Jedi. And by the time I was finished with that ending, I was like, this is a masterpiece. This is genuinely one of the greatest stories I've played ever in a fucking game. This is the greatest Star Wars story I've ever experienced. It's way better than anything the fucking movies ever did. And still to this day I feel that way. It's an absolute perfect evil ending that not only can you become the big bad, you can corrupt her to become just as big of a bad. Now, obviously, the way the Sith work, there's always a master and an apprentice, and the whole point is they're basically saying that maybe she'll actually usurp you one day and kill you like what's supposed to happen, but it's the fact that you essentially become this power couple of pure evil. It's just perfect. It so is perfect. And that game will always be an evil game to me, because as much as I'm intrigued as to what happens, I never want it to be soured. I never want to go through and play the story as a good story. I want my ending to be my ending, and that is a very powerful medium and a very powerful way to do multiple endings. The fact that that game truly must be a totally different game to everyone who plays it, because there's so many minor little choices all the way through it, and I went for the most evil options you could fucking go for at every possible turn, just to see what the developers had actually wrote, because it becomes one of those weird things where it's like, It's like a horror movie, like the Saw franchise, where you only keep watching them because you want to see what shocking thing they do next. I wanted to know what awful thing my character was about to do, what I was about to be allowed to do, what I was about to be able to get away with. And every step of the way I was like, holy shit, this got darker than even I imagined it. And by the end, I'd finally seen that full ending where she wiped out all of her friends, all of the people she actually cared about, and my character just walked away and acted as if like, yep, this is just a Tuesday to me. This is just my everyday, implying everything that Revan had done before. This wasn't even like one of the worst things Revan had ever done. This is just like a regular Tuesday. Just like that M. Bison line from the Street Fighter movie, which, still to this day, I love that movie. It's like one of the campest, worst movies, but it's also so good, and it's mainly because of Raul, who plays fucking General M. Bison in that movie. He's the only one who really put his all into it, and when you know the story why, because he was terminally ill, and his kid loved Street Fighter, and he wanted to really, like, do something for his child before passing, it's heartbreaking. It really is, but it means that, like, he really did give it his all. And, yeah, the fact that Revan just, like, stands on the bridge and sees her give this order of wiping out all of her friends, and he doesn't, like, even gloss over it. It's just like, yep, this is everything I wanted. I'm going to go back now because tomorrow I've got to do this again and wipe out another galaxy. It's beautiful, it's bliss, it's perfect, and yeah, I'm glad I finally remembered because that was where the actual meat of the fucking video was, and I know this is now a weird video as well, and people might be like, well, maybe re-record it. No, that's not the way my ADHD works. But I am going to say then, I have got every point, albeit not in the order I originally wanted. I have got every point about multiple endings and the good and the bad of them, because that is the whole point. I wanted to be able to see a story of just how brilliant they truly can fucking be. The fact that that really did make such a unique game for me. And I know other people have done that ending and all that, but I also know that when I was talking to people, I've actually spoke to them, and they're just like, which ending did you do, the good or the bad? And it's like, oh, I did the good ending. I've actually said to them, listen, I know this is going to sound weird, talk to me about some of the game, but don't, like, spoil any of the major stuff, because I've never played the good ending, and I don't want to know it. I genuinely don't want to know what happens with that fucking story, because to me, that is a story of Darth Revan losing their memory, coming back to becoming the big bad, and what I assumed was me becoming more evil than Revan had ever been, only for it to end with, okay, maybe actually I'm not as evil as Revan was. What the fuck did this person do in their day job before this? Like, what are the events that I didn't get to see Revan do? Because Revan just walked away from this B-name character, wiping out her entire fucking family, her friends, her everything, her whole reason of being, not just turning on her faith, but turning so hard that she is now purely fucking evil, and I just walk away as if it's a random fucking day. What exactly did Revan do? All of that is what made the story so much more impactful for me. And with that, I'm going to say, as I'm up to a boss fight, and I think I am finally done waffling, I'm going to say this has been the end of this video. And yeah, what are some of the multiple ending choices that you truly do love? What are some of the highs? What are some of the lows? Because again, not every game with multiple endings was created equally. It truly wasn't. There's some that I actually wish I could just experience the ending. Resident Evil 9 Requiem, actually, this has only just came out. It did one of the best things for multiple endings, but even that pissed people off. And the thing that it did really good was, you pick the ending. And because I'd been paying attention to the story, I figured out what ending I was supposed to choose, and I intentionally picked the other one. And by picking the other one, it ran through the ending, I got something that I actually really, really wanted to see, and then it basically gave me the option, hey, do you want to go back to exactly where you just picked that ending, and then you can make the other choice. And if multiple ending games just always give you that choice, always give you the, hey, just go back and do it immediately, I would be so much happier, because then that would allow me to experience the stuff, even if it was just, okay, so you actually, like, let's say Chrono Trigger, and again, I'm doing something that I don't know a lot about. Let's say Chrono Trigger, out of the 12 endings, let's say it turns out, with my final action, I could get 3 different endings. If the ending I picked, then immediately let me go back and say, hey, listen, picking this choice here gives you ending 2. Picking this choice here gives you ending 3. Would you like to go back so you can experience ending 2? And then after doing ending 2, would you like to go back and experience ending 3? Even that would have meant I'd have seen 3 of the endings instead of 1 of them. That might be a really great way to do it. But at the same time, that pissed so many people off with Resident Evil. It's like, what, so that ending was nothing? Like, well, no, that's not the way you're supposed to view multiple endings, because yes, of course, there's going to be one canonical one, but also at the same time, if I didn't choose to go back and actually do the other ending, then the first ending would have actually been my ending. And honestly, there's parts of that ending that I would have been happy enough with it being my ending. But either way, I was supposed to end the video, and that then came to me. Again, ADHD, it's a trip. So I'm going to say there's no one finite way, there's no one perfect way to do multiple endings, but there's definitely better ways and bad ways. And as a medium, maybe we'll eventually get to the way of doing the perfect way to do multiple endings, because it is definitely something that I love about games. When it's done right, it truly can, like with Knights of the Old Republic, really make that game so much better for me. But then other games, it's like, again, genuinely, I might like the Nier games, but the fact that I am worried that I would have to look up a guide all the way through and spoil, essentially, knowing what choices to make, it wouldn't feel like I'm playing my game, it wouldn't feel like I'm getting my ending, and then it turned out that by getting my ending, I actually got the wrong one, and then I needed to replay it again to be able to get the right ending, to be able to then actually experience the next game. Things like that do put me off. So yeah. Until next time, I've been Sky Fellowship. I truly do hope you have a great rest of your day. And yeah, bye.